And good evening. Right now, dangerous weather emergencies unfolding from coast to coast. Wildfires ripping through the south as we track severe storms and potential tornadoes. At this hour, multiple fires raging in South Georgia. The Pineland Road fire creating walls of flames like this, consuming trees and highways. This video taken from inside a bulldozer showing a firefighter on that front line of the blaze. And the nearby Brantley fire destroying dozens of structures in its path, including this home. 5,000 acres burned and the fire just 15% contained at this hour. The South Georgia sky is now blanketed with ash. Video from a helicopter shows just how huge these plumes of smoke are. But the threat not limited to Georgia. Aerial crews in North Carolina fighting flames by plane and by chopper. Firefighters on the ground in San Bernardino responding to a brush fire fueled by these strong winds. And these fires fueling dangerous plumes of smoke and harmful air quality conditions. Our Bill Cairns is standing by to track the threat as well as those severe storms. We begin tonight in Georgia, where our Aaron Gilchrist is on the ground where the wildfires rage on.
Tonight, an around-the-clock battle against several raging infernos.
Oh my gracious.
In Georgia, plumes of smoke turning the sky dark. Drivers surrounded by flames as they try to navigate the roads. In Brantley County, the wildfire only 15% contained. After decimating thousands of acres, with winds shifting, more people are now at risk.
We need folks to understand they need to be prepared to evacuate. This is a dynamic fire that's changing.
We couldn't do nothing. It was too late, man.
This home among the dozens engulfed by the fire's wrath. In this area where the fire is already passed, you can see things like this, a mobile home completely burned out, and all around it, nothing but scorched earth. Wildfires are sprouting up across the region, turning communities into wastelands.
All these woods were on fire. They're probably about 10, 12, 13 feet up.
Corey Kempf evacuated with his 14-year-old daughter.
And there were big embers coming down. It looked like we were in another world. Everything was just on fire, and the wind was swirling, and it was insane.
He returned to find his property damaged, but his home still standing. How lucky do you feel?
I feel pretty lucky. Like I said, it was like a movie. I mean, my heart was racing.
Meanwhile, drought conditions are fueling wildfires across the country. From Florida to North Carolina and Colorado, with this year's fire season only beginning to ramp up.
All right, Aaron Gilchrist joins us from the fire zone tonight. Aaron, officials just announced new evacuation orders.
Yeah, that's right, Tom. And there have actually been new evacuation orders since we saw you for NBC Nightly News just a few minutes ago. We know that there was already an area that was under a new mandatory evacuation order. That area has now expanded, and a second voluntary evacuation area has now been, evacuation order has been set for another area that is north and west of where we're currently standing. Most of the evacuation zones were east of where we're standing right now, and so we knew that there was a concern about the wind shifting, changing directions in this area. That happened earlier this afternoon. That meant the fire was able to expand, that it was able to push in a new direction, and those evacuations mean that we could see upwards of 50 new homes that where people need to be evacuating, need to be gathering their things and getting out immediately, or gathering their things and be preparing for a mandatory evacuation order. At the same time, I can tell you, we just saw another aircraft fly overhead here, one of those big air tankers from the federal government that can carry thousands of gallons of water or flame retardant. They've been moving toward where we're seeing those new columns of smoke coming, trying to protect those homes and trying to keep this fire from spreading even more, Tom.
All right, Aaron Gilchrist for us. Aaron, thank you. Let's get right to NBC News meteorologist Bill Cairns. Bill, this is a very dangerous situation unfolding. What are you watching?
Yeah, the sea breeze came in, the humidity was low, and the Brantley fire just exploded this afternoon. So we're looking at radar. We're actually picking up all the ash in the air and the particulates in the smoke. And when you see it really flare up, that's when you know the fire is expanding. And you could see as that happened in the last 2 hours. Then they called in these big, huge tankers with the fire retardant. And I said on the scanner, they told all the firefighters, get in your trucks because we're about to dump all this fire retardant on you. And this is the area of concern. So just south of Fadique here, this is Hortense, Georgia. And I'm going to kind of take off a little bit of the radar, kind of do a little transparency. The fire had been burning in this area here. You kind of see it's all foresty areas and green. These are all roads. These are all homes. the fire either went through this neighborhood or right along the side of it. We don't know yet, but this is where the fire flared up over the last couple hours. So we'll update you on that, but it's a sad situation that continues to get worse there with the Brantley fire. And as far as the drought goes, we have to get rain. I mean, we're now up to 94% of the Southeast is in severe, extreme, or exceptional drought from Arkansas to Florida. No rain in the forecast for Georgia and Florida as we go to the next 4 or 5 days, but some relief, Tom, from areas of Arkansas, Mississippi, and also into Alabama.
Bill, you're also tracking day one of a multi-day severe storm threat with tornado warnings going off in the center of the country. What do we know about that?
Yeah, we had a little break early this week, but now we have tornado watches from Iowa all the way down into Oklahoma. We have 4 active tornado warnings at the current time. We just had a confirmed tornado warning in the southwest corner of Iowa, just as that storm crossed Interstate 29. No reports of any significant damage or injuries or anything like that. But we also have a really strong line of storms just to the west of Topeka, Kansas. That's just south of the Manhattan, Kansas, University of Kansas State. They're safe. The storm is to the south of them on Interstate 70. Tomorrow we'll track storms over Little Rock, Shreveport, and then into the weekend, this threat continues. Possible tornado threat, Wichita, Oklahoma. It's the same areas over and over again, Tom, as our severe weather season ramps up.
All right, Bill Cairns. Bill, we're going to stay with you, I know, all the rest of the week. Now to that deadly shooting at a mall in Baton Rouge. 1 person killed and 5 more injured. Multiple suspects arrested, and police say more people may have been involved. NBC's Priscilla Thompson has the latest.
Got an active shooter in his...
Tonight, police rushing into the Mall of Louisiana, guns drawn.
He's definitely angry at the Apple Store.
Baton Rouge authorities say 1 person was killed and 5 others injured during a shootout at the food court. Officials say at least 3 high school seniors are among the victims.
It's a constant... Yeah, it was loud. And then
5 suspected gunmen are in custody.
This is still an ongoing investigation, and we're still looking for more people that may be involved.
Video appears to show victims on the floor as others try to help, and first responders taking the injured out on stretchers. Investigators say bystanders are likely among the victims, and that the shooting was targeted. It appears to have been started by 2 groups having a dispute. 1 victim now in surgery, and others recovering, as police ask the public for help.
Any videos that you have, cell phone videos, Crime Stoppers tips, please keep them coming in. Keep these families in your prayers, especially the deceased victim.
Priscilla Thompson joins us tonight. Priscilla, you mentioned bystanders may have been injured in this. Do we have any sense of how many people were in the food court at the time, and could they have more video? Police need to find the others involved. And I mean, this was in a mall. Do we know yet the ages of these victims?
Yeah, Tom. So we have now learned that at least 3 of the victims were in high school, so likely teenagers. And the Louisiana Attorney General is also confirming that some of the victims were innocent bystanders. Now, police have not said how many people were in the food court at this time, but based on the videos that we're seeing, it looks like it was a pretty active day at the mall. And of course, those videos are now going to be crucial to this investigation, with police asking anyone who may have video of anything that went on there to contact Crime Stoppers to turn that video over to them, as they're working to better understand how this happened, but also find those who may be responsible. Tom?
Okay, Priscilla. Now to that other major headline we're following tonight. President Trump levying new threats against Iran over the Strait of Hormuz. It comes as the White House directs talks between Israel and Lebanon today, announcing the ceasefire between those 2 countries will be extended by 3 weeks. Here's Monica Alba.
Tonight, President Trump issuing a new warning to Iran, posting orders to the Navy to, quote, shoot and kill any boat mining the Strait of Hormuz. It comes after the Iranian regime began attacking and seizing commercial ships in the strait, posting this video claiming to show its commandos boarding them, hours after President Trump extended the ceasefire with Iran.
Their military is totally defeated. They're outside of the little wise guy ships. I call them the wise guy ships.
And as the president is choking Iran's economy with his naval blockade to pressure the regime to make a deal. Overnight, U.S. troops boarding a sanctioned ship carrying Iranian oil in the Indian Ocean.
If they don't want to make a deal, then I'll finish it up militarily.
Does that mean Americans should anticipate spending more on gasoline for the foreseeable future?
For a little while. And you know what they get for that? You know what they get for that? Iran without a nuclear weapon that's going to try and blow up one of our cities or blow up the entire Middle East.
The New York Times reporting new details tonight about the health of Iran's new Ayatollah, badly injured in the same strike that killed his father and neither seen nor heard in public since. 4 senior Iranian officials claim he was gravely wounded but is mentally sharp and engaged after 3 leg surgeries. His face and lips burned severely, making it difficult to speak, and that access to him is extremely difficult. So generals are the key decision makers in Iran.
They have all new leadership and they're fighting like cats and dogs for who's going to control, because we've created a real mess for them.
Late today, the president meeting with ambassadors from Israel and Lebanon. Tonight, the Lebanon ceasefire extended for another 3 weeks.
Monica Alba joins us tonight from the White House. And Monica, there was a question the president was asked that has drawn a lot of headlines, and we want to make it very clear for our viewers what happened there. The president was asked if he would ever use a nuclear weapon against Iran.
Exactly, Tom. And the president really dismissed the idea, saying he wouldn't need it given what the U.S. military has been able to accomplish conventionally, but adding that a nuclear weapon should never be allowed to be used by anybody. And the reason that the reporter asked the question is because, of course, just a couple of weeks ago, during some of his threats that the president was making when he was talking about whether he was going to extend the deadline or not, he threatened to potentially wipe out the entire civilization of Iran and continues to make some of these threats against power plants and against other kind of infrastructure in the country. Again, the president dismissing that and also making a little bit of news, Tom, by announcing that he plans to invite the Israeli prime minister and the Lebanese president to come to the White House in the next 3 weeks while this ceasefire is still extended to take part in these in-person discussions to see if they can come to some kind of a lasting peace agreement between those 2 countries. Tom.
All right, Monica Alba for us tonight. Monica, great to have you. I want to bring in Yasmin Vesuvian now. She's on the ground in Beirut, where she's been reporting for days now. Yasmin, we're going back to what's happening in Lebanon and along with Israel. Even though the ceasefire with Israel has been extended, there have still been strikes back and forth during this period. Explain that to our viewers and the disputed buffer zone that's a sticking point in some of these negotiations.
Right. So it's a buffer zone, a security zone, as the IDF calls it. It's about 10 kilometers in from the Israeli-Lebanon border. This is an area that Israel essentially occupies. There has been a ceasefire in Lebanon now for 7 or so days, as you just mentioned and reported, that this has now been extended for 3 weeks. But there's no ceasefire in the buffer zone. Hezbollah has repeatedly fired into the buffer zone at IDF soldiers, while Israel has fired back at Hezbollah. This is a major sticking point. It's going to be an uphill battle when it comes to a permanent end to this war after the extension of this ceasefire, because Israel has said they will only pull out of the buffer zone if, in fact, the Lebanese government manages to disarm Hezbollah, whereas the Lebanese government says to end this war, Israel must, in fact, pull out of the buffer zone. I think the major question here, Tom, is whether the Lebanese government has the ability to disarm Hezbollah.
Yeah, and then I want to ask you about a Lebanese journalist who was killed in that buffer zone. Her family and country now mourning her loss at a funeral there. What do you know?
So her name is Amal Khalil. She is a veteran journalist. She worked for a newspaper called Al-Akhbar newspaper, I should say. She was with her colleague, Zainab Faraj, and they were inside the buffer zone reporting. I will note that Al-Akhbar newspaper is a Hezbollah-supported newspaper. It's a left-leaning newspaper. They were inside this buffer zone when a car in front of them actually took fire and took a strike. They escaped from their vehicle at that point and sought hard cover inside of a home. As they got into that home, they contacted family and authorities, security in the area to give the location of where they were. At that point, there was another strike on the home that they were seeking cover. In that time period, rescue workers tried to reach both of these journalists. They were only able at one point to get Zainab out, and then they came under fire from the IDF once again. It took 4+ hours to actually get to Amal Khalil, and as they got to her, she had already died, Tom. There was a funeral procession for her today here in Beirut around 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Not Eastern Standard Time, excuse me, 4 p.m. Lebanon time. And I will say that the IDF has says they do not target journalists. And they say that the vehicle that both journalists were in was coming on to the IDF. But they're going to go and launch an investigation into the killing of these two journalists.
And any death by anyone who's innocent in this war is absolutely terrible. All right. Yasmin, we thank you for being there. You and your team, please stay safe out there. Also breaking tonight, a Special Forces soldier has been arrested for allegedly making more than $400,000 betting on Polymarket over whether or not Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro would be removed from office. That man may have also been directly involved in the operation. NBC's Brian Chung has been covering all things Polymarket for us. And Brian, what more do we know?
Hey there, Tom. This is a remarkable story. This evening, the Department of Justice charging Gannon Ken Van Dyke, who is a Special Forces soldier for the U.S. Army that was directly involved in planning and executing the operation that took Nicolas Maduro out of power in Venezuela. The DOJ now alleging that this specific person made over $400,000 in bets on the prediction market Polymarket by betting on whether or not Nicolas Maduro would be ousted from that position by the end of January. As we know, on January 3rd, a special operation in Venezuela extracted Maduro and also his wife to the United States, thus making this person a lot of money. He originally put $33,000 roughly in bets, including on events like, for example, Maduro being ousted from power, and including other types of event contracts. This particular individual, according to Polymarket, even requested at one point to have his account canceled after the fact. The Polymarket saying in a statement that they referred the matter to the DOJ and cooperated with their investigation, adding in a statement, quote, insider trading has no place on Polymarket. But now we're getting fast-moving developments from the CFTC. This is the agency that's tasked with regulating Polymarket. That particular agency saying that they are going to charge this individual for insider trading involving event contracts. That is the first time the CFTC has done so. A major precedent-setting event here in what was a very, very big story in both national security, but also now in financial markets as well. Tom.
Brian Chung for us, and we will see Brian a little bit later in the show as well for more on Polymarket and another big story that we're following as well. We want to move on now to an alarming story that is happening out of Florida and New Orleans. A former police officer arrested accused of planning a mass shooting at Jazz Fest in New Orleans. Short Release has this one.
Tonight, a potential terror attack foiled. Authorities in Florida taking former law enforcement officer Christopher Gillum into custody for making terrorist threats. According to the Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office, Gillum was arrested after learning he planned to travel to New Orleans to carry out a mass shooting at a festival. Deputies tracking Gillum to a hotel near the Florida Panhandle, where they say they found a gun and around 200 rounds of ammo. According to the Associated Press, Gillum's family had told North Carolina law enforcement he had a gun and expressed recent threats to harm black people.
We're going to continue to ramp up our security to protect those people who come in and out of the city of New Orleans.
Though not directly named as the target, the popular New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival that starts today and draws hundreds of thousands annually, putting out a statement that says in part, Jazz Fest is grateful to all law enforcement partners for their dedication and exceptional service. New Orleans has increased their security after the ISIS-inspired terror attack on Bourbon Street last year, where an Army veteran drove into a crowd, killing 14 people. Gillum was a law enforcement officer in North Carolina for more than a decade, even awarded Officer of the Month in 2025. Tonight, the governor praising his arrest.
This was a great outcome to what could have been a tragic event.
And Gillum appeared before a judge today in Florida. He is still awaiting extradition to Louisiana. Tom?
George Solis for us. We want to move on now to an alarming story that is happening out of Florida and New Orleans. A former police officer arrested accused of planning a mass shooting at Jazz Fest in New Orleans. George Solis has this one.
Terror attack foiled. Authorities in Florida taking former law enforcement officer Christopher Gillum into custody for making terrorist threats. According to the Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office, Gillum was arrested after learning he planned to travel to New Orleans to carry out a mass shooting at a festival. Deputies tracking Gillum to a hotel near the Florida Panhandle, where they say they found a gun and around 200 rounds of ammo. According to the Associated Press, Gillum's family had told North Carolina law enforcement he had a gun and expressed recent threats to harm black people.
We're going to continue to ramp up our security to protect those people who come in and out of the city of New Orleans.
Though not directly named as the target, the popular New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival that starts today and draws hundreds of thousands annually, putting out a statement that says in part, Jazz Fest is grateful to all law enforcement partners for their dedication and exceptional service. New Orleans has increased their security after the ISIS-inspired terror attack on Bourbon Street last year, where an Army veteran drove into a crowd, killing 14 people. Gillum was a law enforcement officer in North Carolina for more than a decade, even awarded Officer of the Month in 2025. Tonight, the governor praising his arrest.
This was a great outcome to what could have been a tragic event.
And Gillum appeared before a judge today in Florida. He is still awaiting extradition to Louisiana. Tom?
George Solis for us. We're back in a moment with the major shifts surrounding medical marijuana, the federal government easing restrictions on the drug, what it means for millions of Americans, plus changes inside of ICE, the controversial policies they're quietly rolling back. Our exclusive reporting tonight. And body cam footage showing a dramatic rescue, firefighters rushing to a burning home with a man in a wheelchair trapped inside, how crews got him out. All of this ahead on Top Story. We're back with a major shift to the way the U.S. government classifies medical marijuana. The Trump administration saying the drug is less dangerous than it was previously considered to be. NBC's Ann Thompson explains.
A historic day for the business of medical marijuana, used for chronic pain, sleep, and side effects from cancer treatment. The federal government reclassifying it as a less dangerous drug, already legal in 40 states and the District of Columbia. No longer in the same class as heroin and LSD, medical marijuana is now a Schedule III substance like ketamine and testosterone, with a low to moderate risk for dependence. But this has no impact on recreational marijuana.
You still can't possess it federally. That is still illegal. You still can't consume it federally. That is still illegal.
Kim Rivers, CEO of True Leaves, sells medical marijuana in 8 states. This decision, she says, will lower her business's tax rate, but won't improve access to the banking system.
Congress would need to pass a law that gives banks the green light to handle funds that come from state-licensed marijuana businesses.
But there's opposition on Capitol Hill. 22 Republican senators signed a letter to President Trump in December objecting to the change. Arkansas's Tom Cotton was one of them. Today, posting that marijuana is more potent than 10 to 20 years ago, and this is a step in the wrong direction. It will help researchers. Ziva Cooper heads the UCLA Center for Cannabis.
This will help ease restrictions so that we can do the research to be able to understand the safety and the effectiveness of these types of products.
All right, Ann Thompson joins us now. And Ann, we were talking earlier, the Trump administration may not be done here. There may be more action on this.
In fact, we think in the end of June 29th, to be specific, Tom, the Department of Justice is going to hold a hearing where it will consider moving all marijuana, not just medical marijuana, but all marijuana to that less dangerous category under federal law.
All right, Ann, good to see you. Thank you for that. Coming up tonight, the home price is still high across the country, but they're now starting to drop in one state. We'll tell you which one and explain what's behind the dip. Plus, Spotify out with its first ever list of the most streamed artists of all time. Who cracked the top 5? Back now with Top Stories newsfeed, and we start with a dramatic rescue in northeast Pennsylvania. Firefighters rushing to this burning home with a man in a wheelchair trapped inside. They say one deputy went in helping to get it to a window that some neighbors had smashed. Eventually, crews were able to pull the man to safety. He was taken to the hospital, but is expected to be okay. In Georgia, a woman arrested after almost 2 years on the run when investigators found her hiding out in a strange place. Deputies say they got a tip that Kayla McKenzie was inside a home, but when they showed up, they found her hiding in this small hole in the floor. Look at that. Wow, that is tiny. It was essentially a vent for the air conditioning. The woman was taken into custody and is now set to face charges related to her felony bench warrant. And while video of a car slamming into a gift shop in Montana, you see the vehicle smashing through the front of the store in West Yellowstone, sending merchandise flying and almost hitting employees. Luckily, nobody was hurt, but the shop was seriously damaged. Police say the driver was parking and accidentally, pressed the gas instead of hitting the brake. Spotify out with its first ever list of the most streamed artists of all time. Here's a look at the top 5, so many of our favorites. Taylor Swift, of course, taking that #1 spot, followed closely, though, by international sensation Bad Bunny. Drake came in third, with The Weeknd and Ariana Grande rounding out the list. Spotify also unveiled the most streamed albums, songs, podcasts, and audiobooks to celebrate the platform's 20th anniversary. Now to NBC News exclusive reporting on the Department of Homeland Security. Senior DHS officials and immigration attorneys say they have seen a quiet rollback of controversial immigration enforcement policies, including ICE agents entering homes without a judicial warrant and arrest during immigration court proceedings. You may remember this violent confrontation at a New York City court caught on camera back in September. The shift coming after immigration officers in Minnesota killed 2 U.S. citizens. Renee Good shot in her car in a standoff with an ICE agent, and Alex Peretti, the intensive care nurse, shot multiple times and killed by 2 United States Customs and Border Protection officers. The policy shift also comes amid changes in department leadership. The president firing former Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem back in May. She's been replaced by Mark Wayne Mullen. NBC News senior Homeland Security correspondent Julia Ainsley joins us with her exclusive reporting. So, Julia, you spoke with 2 DHS officials about these rollbacks. Can you tell us more about what these changes look like?
Yeah, I would be happy to, Tom. What they look like is a verbal communication, one, that went out to ICE officers telling them to curtail their arrest in court. That is opposed to the June guidance that they got last year, where immigration judges were going to start dismissing asylum cases from the bench so that ICE officers could quickly arrest people in court. In other words, an immigrant would show up in court to make that claim, thinking they were moving the process forward in a legal manner, only to be detained and deported from that period. They've now vastly curbed that, starting in February. And then the other one is now they are going to require, again, a judicial warrant, a warrant signed by a judge in order to enter a home. That shift happened right before we saw the ramp up and the immigration crackdown in Los Angeles last summer, where the head of ICE signed a memo telling people that they could enter a home if the occupant had a final order of deportation, that they did not need to get a judge to sign off on that. So we're seeing ICE back off on those 2 really hallmark policies of the Kristi Noem tenure at DHS as they try to soften in some ways their policies that really help them boost deportations. And we should mention, Tom, the arrests are down from December's high by 20%.
Yeah, that's wild. I spoke with the president shortly after those initial shootings in Minneapolis. Here's what he said about ICE tactics at the time. And speaking of Minneapolis, what did you learn?
I learned that maybe we can use a little bit of a softer touch, but you still have to be tough. These are criminals. We're dealing with really hard criminals.
From your reporting, what is driving the administration's shift, and is it here to stay?
Tom, I think you were there at the pivotal moment. The shifts that we're seeing at ICE come from way upstream. They come from the political winds shifting and the White House being sensitive to the fact that there were Americans who started to see their immigration tactics in a totally different light, even people who supported the idea of deportations and voted for Trump, because they saw this as an expansion of executive power as they went into homes without warrants, as those 2 American citizens were shot. And it really all pivoted on January 24th with the shooting of Alex Peretti. We saw Border Patrol be removed from cities. And since then, Border Patrol is only assisting ICE when needed. They are not doing those city surges as we previously saw. They are, though, I will say, ICE is still doing arrest at ICE check-ins. And lawyers say they're seeing a lot of that. But by and large, what we're seeing is a lull that has a lot to do with what came from the White House after that shooting and, of course, ended in the ousting of Kristi Noem. But immigration advocates and lawyers say it's just that. They think it's a lull that could easily be turned back on because the mechanics of this machinery and all of the things that they did to ramp up mass deportations, including through mass hiring and by targeting more people around the country, and in a lot of the court wins that they got, including from the Supreme Court, telling them that they could arrest people based on characteristics, not just crimes, because they would have a probable cause that they were in the country illegally. All of that sets DHS back up to be able to turn on the mass deportation program that we saw in 2025 very quickly again.
All right, Julia Ainsley with that new reporting for us. Julia, great to have you. Thank you. Turning now to the housing market and some surprising news out of Texas. The cost of homes there falling in the state's major metro areas. Our Priscilla Thompson is back with us tonight, digging into the reasons behind the drop.
Come house/acreage hunting with us.
Ariel and Jake Gottfried are on the hunt for their dream home in Houston. The family of four has been looking for a bigger place.
We're just kind of looking for where we could plant our roots forever.
And right now, they're among the would-be buyers in the Lone Star State, benefiting from cooling prices. According to data from real estate marketplace Redfin, the price of a home in Texas is down nearly 2% compared to last year. The 7 largest Texas metro areas all seeing declines. The reason?
Home prices in Texas got out of control during the pandemic. There was just so much demand for housing. Developers responded by increasing supply, building more homes. And now those homes are on the market, and that competition is resulting in lower prices for home buyers.
So is it really just moderating?
Yeah, I think what's happening in Texas is more like a correction.
Higher mortgage rates and cost of living also mean buyers are being more selective, something Houston-based real estate agent Pamela Rich is seeing firsthand.
Buyers have more options right now, and they're taking their time. They have leverage again.
She's helping her daughter, Alexis Alada, find her first home.
I'm looking at listings, 1 week, and the next week they've gone down, a few $1,000s.
It's not just Texas where buyers may have the edge. Across the Sun Belt, sellers outnumber buyers in places like Miami, Nashville, and Vegas.
There's just more homes in general to choose from. That gives you more negotiating power.
But while prices may be creeping down, experts say homes there are still far from pre-pandemic levels.
Affordability is still a problem, especially when you factor in the higher mortgage rates. So it might not feel like buyers are really getting the best deal right now, but it is a easier time to buy than it was during the pandemic when you would have had to compete against multiple competing offers.
Welcome news for Texas families like the Godfreys.
You guys feeling good about getting your dream home for a good price?
Yes, I am. It's definitely not as crazy as it has been before.
And Tom, experts say that buyers should absolutely negotiate in this market. The thing to do is look at the comps in the neighborhood that you're buying in. See what homes are selling for versus what they were listed for, and calculate that percentage decrease, and that is the amount that you should offer. Now, as for when these prices might start to go up, experts say that as the mortgage rate comes down, we could see those prices start to increase likely sometime next year. Tom?
Priscilla Thompson first. Priscilla, we thank you for that. Now to a special moment late today, our conversation with American leaders trying to unite people to find solutions to the nation's challenges. It's part of our NBC News Common Ground initiative in partnership with our corporate parent Comcast. Here's Kristen Welker.
Tonight, leading American voices on the effort to find common ground in a divided America. From the halls of Congress.
John has more courage, and the strength that he showed in that moment is something that I hope everyone in America looks to and learns from.
Republican Senator Katie Britt telling me how she went to visit Democratic Senator John Fetterman when he was hospitalized for clinical depression in early 2023. Senator Fetterman, what did it mean to you that Senator Britt came to visit you?
Oh, I mean, of course, it made the world.
Lift off. To the farthest reaches of space and those historic missions. Astronaut Sonny Williams with NBC's Lester Holt.
What was it like to see something that you certainly were part of the building blocks for that moment?
Yeah, it was incredible. You just think in the back of your mind, all of those people, all of this made this amazing thing happen.
To the power of sports to unite us.
You saw people in a Harris t-shirt right next to people in a Trump t-shirt, and it didn't matter because they were there to celebrate something that was bigger than all of us.
That lasting search for common ground. Kristen Welker, NBC News, Washington.
All right, we thank Kristen Welker for that one. Coming up tonight here on Top Story, still to come, the mysterious wagers on the weather. Did someone tamper with the temperature in France to win big on Polymarket? What we're learning from investigators. Also tonight, we'll introduce you to Ace, the one-armed ping-pong playing robot that's taking down some top-level talent. Stay with us. We're back now with Top Stories Health Check and a concerning cancer trend. Rectal cancer rates are rising rapidly among millennials. And by 2035, deaths from the disease could surpass deaths from colon cancer. The #1 cause of cancer death in people under age 50, that according to new research. And according to the American Cancer Society, 1 in 5 colorectal cases are in people under the age of 55. I want to bring in Dr. Robin Mendelsohn. She's a gastroenterologist and a co-director of the Center for Young Onset Colorectal and Gastrointestinal Cancer at Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center. Doctor, thank you so much for joining Top Story. So let's talk about this rise in rectal cancer. Are you seeing this in your patients? And do we know why this is happening? Is it because of lifestyle? Are we seeing higher rates of cancers in general because people are getting checked more often?
Yep. So unfortunately, the answer is yes. We are seeing this. We've been seeing this increase for a while now. Unfortunately, it's been increasing since the 1990s by about 2% per year. And why this is happening, we don't know the answer to. Both of those are reasons why we opened our center. We opened it for young onset colorectal cancer in 2018, and we expanded to all GI cancers in 2021. And that's partly because we saw this increase and we wanted to take better care of these patients, but also trying to figure out why it's happening. And that's what we're working on right now.
So you've been at this almost a decade with this center. You said you opened it in 2018. I don't mean to, kind of put you on the spot here. Do you have theories? I mean, are there things that you're concerned about? I know we don't know sort of the black and white reason, but what are some of the things you're looking at?
Yeah, so I think what we know for sure is that it's not one thing, because as you noted, we've been at this for a while, and if it was one cause, we would have figured it out by now. So I think it's a multi-hit hypothesis, meaning that there's somebody who's susceptible to it and some exposure is causing it. So when we first started, we thought, oh, you're young, you have to have a family history, you have to have a genetic mutation. But the majority of these patients are what we consider sporadic, meaning no family history, no genetic mutation. And then we started to delve into the common risk factors for colorectal cancer. So obesity is a known risk factor, and we know that obesity has been increasing throughout this time period. And obesity does increase your risk of young onset colorectal cancer, but the majority of these patients are not overweight and obese. And so, it's not the whole picture. And so we're looking at different exposures. It really looks like this has been going on for a while and probably changed somewhere in the 1950s, 1960s.
Okay.
So trying to out what changed in that time period.
In 2026 now, are we seeing any change with the GLP-1s? Is this helping those rates go down at all?
So that's we don't have enough long-term data to look. Overall, it does seem like the GLP-1s help with inflammation and obesity. So we do hope that they will be protective against cancer, but we don't really have definitive data to answer that quite yet.
Talk to me about symptoms. What should people be looking for?
So as you noted, the majority of these are rectal cancers. So the rectum is the last part of your colon all the way at the bottom. And because these patients are not being screened because they're younger, the majority do present with symptoms. And the most common symptom is rectal bleeding. I want to reassure people that the majority of people with rectal bleeding will not have cancer, but it is the most common symptom. So any persistent rectal bleeding should really be checked out.
And you're talking about, I mean, if people do have this is something that they're seeing every day, every week, every month?
It can vary, but anything that's lasting. So if it happens once, it happens twice, and then it goes away, it's unlikely to be cancer. But anything that's persistent over a few weeks, a few months, it doesn't happen to happen every day. It could be more intermittent. For some people, it does happen every day. But anything that's persistent should really be checked out.
Your body is actually almost doing this to sort of tell you something, right, and notify you, hey, something is wrong. Are there best practices, right, for our young viewers here at Top Story, maybe even for people my age? Are there best practices to prevent colorectal cancer?
Yeah, so the traditional risk factors, we already went over obesity, so, a healthy BMI, avoiding smoking, avoiding alcohol. Diets that are high in red meats and processed meats increase your risk, whereas diets that are high in fruits and vegetables are protective. Increased physical activity is protective. And all of these things are good for, your body in general, for your heart and for your lungs, so that you could do everything right and still get cancer, unfortunately. Yeah. And so if you do get cancer and you adhere to these healthy lifestyle, then you're more likely to be able to tolerate treatment better. So important to adhere.
Those are good tips and good advice, good reminders, I should say. Dr. Mendelsohn, since we have you here, I do want to ask you about another study. It's from the Environmental Working Group. You may be familiar with it. We'll put it up for our viewers. It found nearly 1/5 of the U.S. population drinks water contaminated with nitrates, which are chemicals linked to cancer. Is it possible that cancer rates are increasing and it's linked to our food and our water?
So I can't say for sure that it's due to nitrates, and I don't think that study answers that either. But, I do believe that it is like something environmental, whether it's an exposure, medication, foods, plastics, all of these things, because I think that it's something that's changed over the last few decades. But again, I think it's not one thing, or we really would have figured it out already.
Dr. Mendelsohn, so great to have you here on Top Story. We appreciate your time.
Thank you so much.
Now to Top Story's Global Watch. In the UK, police just released dramatic new video of a car going airborne. Dash cam shows officers chasing after the driver of this BMW. They say that they clocked him going 140 miles an hour before he hit a roundabout, launching into the air and flipping several times. The driver pleaded guilty to charges, including driving under the influence. He was sentenced this week to 16 months behind bars. And in northern Japan, nearly 2,000 people ordered to evacuate their homes as raging wildfires rip through the region. Here you can see the fast-moving flames burning across a hillside. And all authorities say the fires have burned almost 400 acres and damaged multiple buildings. So far, no reports of any injuries. Also in Japan, there's a new paddle-wielding robot that's become quite a force on the ping pong table. Look at this. Its name is Ace. The robotic arm uses AI and cameras to track the ball and measure its spin. It's apparently a pretty tough competitor, already beaten some elite human players. The machine was built by Sony, which says it's the first time a robot has achieved expert-level play in a physical competitive sport. Now to the latest controversy surrounding those popular prediction betting sites, and this one has quite a twist. French authorities are investigating if someone tampered with weather forecasting equipment at Paris's Charles de Gaulle airport in order to win big on Polymarket. According to the Wall Street Journal, a mystery trader placed bets on how high temperatures would go in Paris, cashing in on tens of thousands of dollars. Take a look at this. On April 15th, Weather Underground shows temperature readings at the airport steadily climbing for most of the day and then leveling off. But at 9:30 at night, that significant jump, that's when the temperature shoots up 22 degrees Celsius. That's equivalent to more than 71 degrees Fahrenheit. Earlier that afternoon, someone on Polymarket made an unlikely bet for less than $120 that the temperature would go higher than 18 degrees Celsius. When the reading spiked, the Wall Street Journal reports that user raked in $21,000. Here to discuss this, NBC's Brian Chung. Brian, I think we found a new beat for you. So explain what happened here.
Yeah, this is a pretty crazy story. So the question was, what is the highest temperature in Paris going to be on April 15th? Now, for most of the day in Paris, again, I'm not a meteorologist, but this is a thing we have to track now with these prediction markets. It was 18 degrees Celsius. I won't translate it because it doesn't really matter for this story. Yeah. Strangely, around 9:30 p.m., Tom, the temperature went up to 71 degrees, which landed one particular bettor on Polymarket about $21,000 because this person, just a few minutes before that spike, bet on no for it to stay at 18 degrees Celsius. So when it popped, that person won a lot of money. Now, there are some reports out there, again, we haven't confirmed this, that potentially the instrument that was being used to measure that temperature may have experienced some sort of heating up from a hairdryer. So there's now questions over whether or not there was insider trading and perhaps manipulation of that instrument.
Are there any consequences for these traders, do we know?
Well, so first off, this is not in the United States, and this is a Polymarket operation in a European country where the rules are definitely a little bit more different than where they are here right now. So it's a little bit difficult to tell how this person would be policed if they were to be, given the jurisdiction laws there in France. But of course, Tom, this is the type of thing that would worry anyone that's using these apps or in charge of regulating these apps.
If there's anyone I know that would try to do this, it's Bill Cairns, our meteorologist, and we have him here live tonight, or I should say, at least in the segment. Bill, I do want to ask you, if somebody wanted to do this, right? Explain, like, where do these temperature gauges live, and how would you do this?
See, at first you're like, oh, this is a pretty smart scam, right? I mean, it's a way to you quickly make yourself money. But this is science, and it's supposed to be regulated, and it's also supposed to be secure. So this is like a weather station at JFK Airport. And a lot of our stations are around the country at airports, and they have things that measure the wind, the cloud heights, how much sunshine they're getting, and also the temperature and rain gauges, too. So they're all within all these sensors. And worldwide, they're supposed to be 4 to 6 feet off the ground, so they are accessible. But they're also supposed to be in enclosed areas where people can't get into them. So it's not out of the realm. It's not that difficult to have a hairdryer to heat up the atmosphere, the air around this device to make it warmer. So that part was actually smart. But as scientists, we know when it should warm up. You know, if it's cloudy and the sun comes out, it warms up. All of a sudden, after the temperature starts dipping in the late afternoon, if it jumps. So the people betting on this mostly are, you know, weather enthusiasts or meteorologists. They saw it immediately, flagged this, and said, what's going on here? This is not right. And the fact actually it happened twice on April 5th and April 15th makes it even more peculiar and that they didn't get caught earlier.
What do you think? You think this is definitely somebody rigged this, they figured it out, and they were able to tweak the systems?
I think it was a good try. But it should have been obvious to a lot of people that the temperature just doesn't work that way. Right. You know, Brian and I were talking. If they were smarter, they'd have a squirt gun and spraying it into the rain gauge.
This is a scheme that we were putting.
I know. You're a meteorologist. I mean, can you bet on weather? I mean, if you were somebody who, you know, maybe not you, Bill Cairns, because you have ethics, but if you're somebody else and maybe you're an out-of-work meteorologist, could you bet and win on weather?
Let's just put it this way. At the last weather conference I was at, there was a lot of talk about people betting on and making money on these apps. But as you said, it's an ethical thing, right? I mean, we're experts in the field betting against people that aren't experts. So that's not right.
Yeah, Brian, back to you yesterday. You know, we reported on Kalshi cracking down on these politicians that were betting on their own platforms. These things are becoming so popular. We saw earlier that some producers showed us that you could even bet on my interview with President Trump and the things that I was going to ask President Trump about. We were not aware of this. I wasn't aware of this until just right now. You can bet on so many things right now. I'm just wondering, so many people, like, take the interview, for instance, looked at that interview, fed in, saw it. I mean, it just seems like it's way more. So many people touch these things a lot more than, say, a sports game. But maybe not.
I mean, and when we talk about the broad issue of insider trading, we have to remember that insider trading has been an issue for all types of markets since the beginning of time. I mean, there were bankers that were shorting their own bank during the Great Depression. You have Jeffrey Skilling and Enron. I mean, you can't stop bad actors from trying to rig the system so that they can make a lot of money. But I think the difference with these prediction markets is now there's a prediction market for literally everything, down to your interview with President Trump, for example, down to will Drake release Iceman before Grand Theft Auto 6 comes out. Now, some of these things are a little bit easier and harder than others to manipulate, but when it comes down to putting a hairdryer onto a pole, outside of an airport, or, for example, in your interview, if you knew exactly what the question was going to be, someone could have put money on that. I'm sure you didn't do that, but I think that it becomes a little bit of a different talking point when it becomes easier to manipulate the outcome of these markets that basically anybody can bet on. That's a question for the CFTC and the SEC, which are supposed to be regulating these types of things.
All right, Brian Chung, we thank you for that. When we come back tonight, some of football's brightest young stars hoping to hear their names called at tonight's NFL Draft. Our Sam Brock is in Pittsburgh with a look at the first round and why the top prospect, Fernando Mendoza, isn't there. We'll explain the reason. It might surprise you. That does it for us. Thanks so much for watching Top Story. I'm Tom Llamas in New York. Stay right there. More news on the way. We thank you for watching. And remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.